Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the January 13th council meeting of the City of Mayfield Heights. Happy New Year to everyone. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Balestrea.
Present.
Mr. Mano.
Here.
Mr. Menick.
Here.
Mr. Minor.
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta.
Here.
Mrs. Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Tobin.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now move to the acceptance of the minutes from the December 9th council meeting. I hope everyone's had time to read these minutes over. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Balestrea and second by Ms. Telvin. Are there any changes, amendments, or deletions to these minutes? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These minutes have been approved as written. This time, would any council person like to bring any correspondence or announcements to the table this evening?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Sabetta?
thank you. The Chagrin River Watershed met via Zoom on December 17th. Their open speaker series include highlights from Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. This is a free virtual presentation. I have shared the link with the building and service departments. The upcoming funding opportunities include hazard mitigation grant program and the Ohio EPA Environmental Educational Fund. The Chagrin River presentation of the thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabetta. Are there any other correspondence or announcements? I just wanted to welcome Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we will move to the reports of officers, starting with the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. We're looking forward to an exciting 2025. We have lots of activities planned as normal. We'll get into a real full season of the Aquatic and Community Center, and really looking forward to the use by the residents in a full year of activity. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of this year what the numbers look like and how much our residents are using the facility. We already know they're using it a lot, but I think they're getting used to it. So it's looking forward to those numbers. Again, we're happy to welcome Ray Schmidlin as our new law director. I have all the confidence in him, and we wish our best to our retired law director, Paul Murphy. And Community Partnership on Aging is hosting an upcoming film series in March. You can go to their website for those schedules. The dates are March 6th, 11th, and 20th. I urge all residents to go to the Community Partnership on Aging website. There's just so many opportunities there for residents to either help themselves or help their loved ones who are elderly in the city. There's lots of opportunities there. So I urge all of our residents to take advantage of those programs and check out the website. There's a lot to see there. And Taste of Italy is set for Saturday, February 15th. I'm sure Mr. Mano will have more information on that. I won't steal his thunder. But you can go to our website to get that info too. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions for the mayor?
I do.
Ms. Talbot?
I would just like to know, I know this is your last year, and if there's anything that you really want to accomplish this year and what your goals are.
Make it through the year. No, I think we have a good council. It'll be interesting to see what comes up through the course of the year. And I don't know, I'm just looking forward to working with everybody and finishing out strong. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Director of Law, Mr. Schmidlin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to, again, take this opportunity to thank the mayor for having faith in me and the appointment. I would like to thank Paul Murphy. I've been working with him in an assistant capacity since 2006. I feel very comfortable here. And I would really like to thank the administration, your staff, the council people who have been very understanding, very cooperative in assisting in my transition. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce my son Hunter, who works with me, who will be working as an assistant in some capacity. If I'm not around, you can't find me, you can ask for him. And I'd be remiss not to introduce my better half, Michelle, my wife of 28 years. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with you. And again, I appreciate everybody looking me through the transition here.
Welcome, Hunter, and welcome, Michelle. Okay. All right, and Director of Finance, Mrs. Scully, she is not here this evening. Did she leave
No.
anything? Okay, all right. We'll move to reports of committees, commissions, and boards. Or, I'm sorry, we're going to go back to department directors. Is there any director here this evening that would like to speak? Chief Mealy.
Good evening. I just wanted to update you on the resolution that's before you tonight, 2025-01. It's the body cams and dash cams. I sent out the memo. There was one correction that I wanted to point out. We put in for both federal and state grants, indicated in the memo that the federal grant would have been announced December 18th, I believe. That actually got pushed back to February. So we won't learn what we received from the federal grant until February, and the state grant remains in March, as I indicated. The memo pretty much spelled out everything, as well as what I relayed to you on December 9th at the meeting. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I have a couple questions.
Wait, Ms. Talbot does.
So with the two grants, can we get both? Because I know they were all, I think both of them are equipment related, is that true?
We can, so we ask for the full amount of what we can receive. We hope that what we don't receive from one will be supplemented by the other. So we can receive at least partial of both, or until they're fulfilled, for everything as far as the body cams. Those don't include the
Right.
dash cams, so it's just for the body cams that they would cover.
Right. The other question I had, I saw that this also includes a replacement in 2.5 years, right? And this is a 5-year contract or whatever. And so what happens after that? I know our current body cams lasted 9 years, so this contract takes us to 5 years. I don't know what the shelf life is. I don't know what might we expect after 5 years.
So we would have to renew the contract, but the equipment itself, as long as it's working, depending on how the contract would read to renew it. We haven't worked with Exxon before. We just, we know of the company. It's got a good reputation. A lot of the police departments surrounding us use Exxon. What's presented to you is a 5-year contract. It's broken up over 5 years. And after 2.5 years, the body cams will be replaced. At the end of the 5-year contract, all the dash cams will be replaced. So we'll have new equipment or newer equipment at the end of that contract. At that point, if we choose to renew it, I would imagine there's still an annual charge for things like storage and some of the incidentals that go along with it. But we would have to present that. We'd have to inquire about, whether we need to replace equipment. My guess is after 2.5 years, the body cam shouldn't need replaced. And certainly if we're getting brand new dash cams after 5 years, those will be brand new. So as far as equipment itself, we shouldn't be looking at a huge expense like we're looking at to replace everything that we're doing now.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Oh, Chuck's going to join
Yeah,
you?
I'm gonna just-
Okay.
Mr.
all right.
Junie?
I can segue into what you want to talk about if you like.
All right, I'll start with that one. We had a severe water main break on Larchmont. The road was closed for a while. I think we opened one lane,
One lane's
correct? Pavement was very badly damaged. And we're getting quotes this week. I put a little spec together. We're going to get several, hopefully several contractors a bid on it. And I'll be back in 2 weeks for an award, hopefully to the low bidder on that. It'll be concrete at this time of the year. There's no asphalt, so it'll be concrete to the surface. We have to deal with winter weather concretes, which is more expensive, but I don't think we have a choice. So the water main blew and the street went with it. It's heaved, it's settled, and it's all over the place there. It's probably about 50 feet long, 24 feet wide. That's what we're looking at. So, but I think Chuck wanted to talk about a couple other breaks we got. We have like 17.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a heads up, but just to kind of lead into the Joe's report a little bit. So as of today, in case anyone receives phone calls or sees barricades out on the road, we have a total of 18 openings right now throughout the course of the city. We had another one happen this afternoon, so that's not even on the list yet. So you're going to see multiple barricades and roads partially closed throughout the city, and it's just not a great time to take these out with the temperatures being as cold as they are. So we're aware of them, we're keeping an eye on them, we're keeping them clean. But in the event that you all get calls or see them out while you're traveling yourself, that's what's happening. So that's all.
I got a question.
Wait. The mayor has a question.
Where's Larchmont on the list of streets to be repaved? Is it,
That whole area, that whole loop in there is pretty high on the list. It should be done when the budget allows, so, but it's pretty high up.
I thought it was
that whole
up
group
there.
of streets in there.
I didn't know if that street, if Larchmont was as bad as Stafford.
They're similar condition, very similar. I would
Okay.
say, yeah. Windsor Court there, yeah. We have two projects that are going on right now with the county sanitary engineer. All those sinkholes on Gates Mills Boulevard that we've had on the east side of the road there, the county came out and they actually put dye up above in the hole and had cameras run underneath to see where it was coming out. So we TV'd those lines all the way down from Cedar all the way down to the circle. Structurally, the sewers are in pretty good shape. There's a lot of leaking though going on, and they're recommending that we line those sewers to stop. And that's part of why you got the sinkhole, is some of the gaps are so big, all the dirt's going in, and you create a sinkhole. There are probably 4 spots where they actually have to dig down and repair it because the pipe broke. And that's a couple of the sinkholes, but there's more than just a couple along that whole stretch. So the county has scheduled that. I don't know when it's going to happen, but they're going to come in, do the repairs first, and then they're going to line that whole sewer, both the sanitary and the storm, through that area, which should take care of those sinkholes. The service department then will have to fill it in up above, other than where they're doing repairs. The county sanitary also, as long as they're in town lining, we TV'd the sewers as part of the Marnell project. We TV'd the sewers down to Longwood, down Radnor, down Temple, all the way to Mayfield Road, which is the outlet. And the sewer on Temple needs some lining. Again, structurally it's good, but there's several leaks. And as long as they were doing lining in town, I asked them if they would go over to Temple, and they're going to do that as well. So it's all part of the county sanitary doing that out of their budget. As far as the Marnell Sewer Project goes, we have selected a best fit alignment through there. We do have a gas line conflict, so I'm meeting with, well, it's Enbridge now, it used to be Dominion, this week to talk about that conflict and how we could get around that, and whether we support their line or we move it or what happens there. The dye testing is completed. I did receive a draft report on Friday from AECom. I'm still going through that. By the next meeting, I'll have a report for you as far as what's that showing. Preliminarily, I'm going to tell you, there's like 5 problems on our side, and there's quite a few problems on the other side, so which we suspected. But I'll have all that data hopefully in the next 2 weeks. So. We owe the sewer district a report on the hydraulics and our solution for Marnell, and that'll be wrapped up in the next week or so and submitted to we'll submit it here to the city as well, but we'll submit it to the sewer district at that time. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
that is
Junie.
all.
I think Ms. Talbot he answered it? Okay, all right.
I wanted to know what happened with all the sinkholes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Belstrea?
Joe, as far as the problems on the public side for the dye testing, will those be repaired when we put the new test tees in there and run the sewer?
Every one of them be taken care of with the Marnell Sewer Project. Yes, no question.
So,
Right, yeah.
okay, nothing additional.
Because they're getting all new connections from the main to a new, brand-new test tee anyway. And if there's a problem in between, the old one's going, they're getting a new one. So all those will be taken care of with the project.
Okay.
Mr. Minor?
With all of the current issues that have just come up with sewers, water lines, do we have any reports that, because I know the sewer district gave us that one report that gave us a map of the city's infrastructure.
Correct.
Some of the issues that we are currently having, were those identified, those streets, were they identified as?
In that sewer
struct-
district report, the first project they had out of the gate was the Marnell Sewer area. Yes, that was identified.
Okay.
Correct. As far as your water mains go, I mean, we're still in discussion about that. I mean, they're getting older, and you see it not only here, but you see it in a lot of cities. They pop at this time of the year, that freeze thaw, and it gets real cold. That's when you get all these breaks. So, and that's another issue to talk about in the future.
I did have a question for you. Two things, actually. I know we talked about the water retention program last year and having the gentleman come out and talk to the mayor and council about that type of a program for our city.
That's the Cleveland Water Agreement,
water,
the
yeah.
Suburban Water Main Agreement, yeah.
It's a program that I think you and I talked about, and he was going to come out.
We're scheduling that through the mayor's office. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good. And then the other question I had was, are there any grants that you could see? It's a new year, there's been things posted in different people offering grants now, beginning of the year, to help with any of these issues.
I have my eye open for it. I haven't seen anything yet. Obviously, if we sign the Suburban Water Main Agreement, there's money there. In the sewer district, they have their applications due in May every year for projects, and we should be submitting, yes. MCIP, municipal capital improvement projects. Yeah.
Okay,
That's the only ones I know of at this time. Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Snyder?
Oh, Mr. Belstrea.
Joe, that was going to be for the Washington project, though.
We could, yes,
The
absolutely.
Washington.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no,
I think that's what
mean,
we earmarked, correct.
Right, and the sewer district grant money was going to be earmarked for that project.
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
right.
Right, thanks.
Mr. Minor. Sorry.
Not really a question, Joe. Just from a timeline perspective, so all the residents know who are on Marnell, are we still estimated to, break ground and finish the same timeline that we presented before, or?
Yes, we're on schedule for a summer construction. Now, with all the work on Marnell, I'm not sure we're going to finish it all. With all that sewer work, we're going to replace the water line, and now with the gas line conflict, I think we can get all the underground utilities done this year. I'm not sure about all the paving, because we are going to destroy the street, so we're going to take out the street and put it back. But we always talked about that. It might be two projects, but the most important, obviously, is the sewer work, so the basements don't flood. So we got to get that done first. And that is still on schedule for this summer, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cheney. Mr. Rowan.
Good evening. I wanted to talk a little bit about the wayfinding project and provide council with an update, and then kind of, before I get into that, provide a little bit of a reflection on 2024. I think, last year we started with me in this position new, really starting with developing a list of our businesses, understanding who's here, how we can contact them, putting together that list of emails. That resulted in introductory emails and meetings with businesses, which were really productive, and we touched a lot of the top employers in the community. We also met with property owners and members of the real estate community who are active in Mayfield Heights to understand the conditions of buildings, tenants, the real estate community, especially the office market. By my count, we welcomed 19 businesses into the community last year, including Current Lighting, which celebrated its grand opening in December, which was a really nice event. Both Current Lighting and Sequoia Financial Group were two companies that took advantage of the Job Retention and Creation Grant program to help fill some office space. And hopefully that's the start of movement back into the office, and we see more momentum that way in 2025. We started to look at how to market the community and get some exposure to the new branding that was done for Mayfield Heights. And that really led us to do the magazine, the community magazine that's going to go out later this year, and also led us into the wayfinding assessment process that we've been just wrapped up our first phase with Guide Studio. So kind of transitioning into the wayfinding project, the first phase of that work with Guide Studio was really, the scope of work was to do a wayfinding assessment. So that was to work with the steering committee, do a site tour, talk with folks here at City Hall to understand who comes into the city, where do they go, and how do they get there, both from the private and public side. So that work resulted in a report, and then it led to wayfinding concepts, which are a family of signs, basically, using the branding that can be used and developed into a whole program of signs that can go throughout the community at the gateways, directional signage, and throughout city buildings, really making sure people are comfortable when they approach the community, they know they're in Mayfield Heights, and they know how to get to places that they're trying to find. So I have copies with me tonight of both the wayfinding assessment and then the concept report that I'll pass out after my comments. The phase 2 of the project, we just got the scope and the mayor signed it, so we're going to get underway with that here shortly. So that phase of the project is going to be taking the wayfinding concepts, so those high-level signs and ideas for the interchange and things like that, and refining those over a design process to the point where we get finally at the end to bid documents that we can then bid out to fabricators to install the signs and get something going. The goal is to have the bid documents done and get them bid this year, and if time allows, to start some of that work. We'll be back in front of council at some point when we get further along in the design to share that with you. And really, once we have the design finalized and the budget numbers, looking at prioritizing phasing and where it makes sense to do the first part of the project and then continue, going forward. I know the mayor is planning at the next planning commission meeting to share this work with planning commission, so they're aware of the process, and when they see things happening down the road, won't be taken by surprise. They haven't been brought up to speed like council has been to this point. So I'll pass this out when I'm done with my remarks. Please feel free to take a look. If you have any questions, just reach out and I'll answer them the best I can. And we look forward to continuing this process and having a successful 2025. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Are there any questions from council? It's exciting.
Thanks, Chair.
Did you like it?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Right. Next, we will move to the reports of committees, commissions, and boards, beginning with the Building Committee. Mr. Medic.
Thank you, Madam President. The Building Committee did not meet, so I do not have a report tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance and Audit Committee. Mr. Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No report.
Legislative Committee. Mrs. Sabetta.
No report, but we are working on scheduling a meeting to address several department legislative amendments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Public Works and Service, Mr. Balestrea.
No official report, Madam Chair, but as soon as I get the AECom report from the city engineer, we'll take a look at it and possibly call a Public Works meeting, or I'll ask you to schedule a committee of the whole meeting, seeing that we're going to have a number of private residences that are going to be affected, and try to come up with a plan for those residences.
Okay, great, thank you. Recreation Parks Committee, Mr. Mano.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The ACC is excited to start the new year with offering some new programs to help you achieve your New Year's resolution goals, including Silver Sneakers Classic, Silver Sneaker Circuit, yoga classes, one-on-one personal training, and Zumba. Please call or visit our website for more information on these things. The 55-plus fitness room excuse me, has expanded hours, Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Taste of Italy event will be held on February 15th at the Aquatic and Community Center. The event includes appetizers, open wine, beer, and seltzer bar, all-you-can-eat pasta dinner, including pasta, meatballs, sausage, chicken cutlet, salad, and rolls, and a dessert table that will not disappoint. The event will also feature a homemade wine contest for those winemakers looking to see how their wine stacks up. The cost is $50 per person. Tickets are now available. Call or stop into the Recreation Department to purchase your tickets. This event will sell out, so don't get shut out. Make sure you get your tickets early. And Park and Rec will have a meeting tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock at the Community Center. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mano. Are there any questions? Ms. Talbot?
I was just curious, do we have a date yet for the community meeting? Yeah, the Unity Days. Do we have a date yet?
Yeah. What is it, Sean?
First off, our Park and Rec meeting is actually going to be on Wednesday. Yes, it was Wednesday the 15th, so I hope that was in that email that went out. And the Unity Days, we were able to lock up a ride company, so we're going to go with our same dates that we had last year. So it's June 20th to 22nd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions? Okay. Safety and Transportation, Mrs. Talbot.
Madam Chairman, I didn't have a meeting, so I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Board of Zoning, Mrs. Sabetta.
Thank you, Madam President. The regularly scheduled meeting is canceled due to no applicants. There will be a special organizational meeting on January 28th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. And Planning Commission, Mr. Balestrea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no report. Planning Commission did not meet.
Thank you. We will now proceed to the public portion of the meeting. Pursuant to City Code, each person will be allotted 5 minutes to speak, with a maximum allotted 30 minutes for the entire public portion. If you are here in connection with an agenda item, this is your opportunity to address council. If you'd like to be heard this evening, please fill out a form at the public entrance. And during the public portion, I will call each person wishing to speak to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record and speak clearly into the microphone. It is now 7:35, and I will open up the public portion. So, Mr. Mosio, would you like to come?
All right, well, I'll start while we're waiting.
said you broke it.
Oh, I probably did. There we are.
Please state your name and address. for the
All right,
record.
my name is Mike Mosio. I work with Win Home Inspections. I am actually a Lyndhurst resident. So, but the reason for us being here is just to talk real quickly to some of the surrounding areas that our company is a very firm believer in radon information. Right now, radon is a very large kind of issue that's only getting bigger and bigger because we're getting better at sealing up our homes and making them less breathable. So right now, January is the EPA Radon Awareness Month, so that's why we're kind of here, is to get information out to the community. If you can see up here, there's a couple things that we wanted to kind of highlight. Everybody always knows about fire, carbon monoxide, things like that. But in actuality, radon is far more dangerous right now. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer. It's the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. It is really kind of becoming worse and worse. Like I said, we're better at sealing up our homes. We're better at putting on roofs, new doors, new windows, insulation, things like that. And so that lets the gases less able to escape. So what we're doing is kind of getting some information out to the public. And one of two things we'd really like to see happen. We'd like to see people get tests. And there's two ways that they can do that. There's companies like myself, we do no mitigation at all, meaning we have no skin in the game, so to speak. All we're doing is giving the company or giving the clients results and letting them know if they have some kind of issue that they want to or that they need to look at. The second one is, if you see on the bottom, there's the ability to get free tests through the state at ohio.radon.com. They will send you a free kit that you can go through the instructions yourself and get yourself your own numbers for your own home. Every home is going to be completely different because of the way they're built, the way that they're sealed, the way that they have insulation. So your neighbor might not have a problem, you may have a problem. So again, what we're trying to do is just try to get some information out there to the public, because the majority of the people don't know what the situation is and how it's changed over the last 30, 40 years because of the products that we use now to seal up our home. So again, we want to just kind of get some information out there to the public and let them know that there are companies like ourselves, but also that there are the free tests but they can still get great results and find out everything that's going in their homes. So we want to just let everyone know that's what's going on with us and with the EPA Radon Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mr. Mosey. We have a couple questions here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know I've
I
had
know.
more than one, right?
That's okay.
So basic, where does it come from? And if you find it, how do you get rid of it? Or
Oh,
and does
absolutely.
it doesn't come back? Because I think, isn't it usually tested when somebody buys a house for radon?
So that's the normal procedure. What we're trying to do is let people know that it shouldn't just be when you're buying or selling your home. If you're staying in that home, if you have grandkids, you have kids, it's literally like having a second smoker in your house, just kind of following you around. So with the mitigation, which is the way that you get rid of it, right? The gas starts at the ground level and it works its way into your home through cracks or waterways or different types of ways that it can seep into the home. It's all around the earth. It's not like it's just around here. We happen to be one of the top 5 states in the United States for radon because of the geological makeup of our state. But to get rid of it is a very simple process where they just put in a automatic vent that starts at ground level. Usually if you have a sump, it's by the sump. If you don't, they create a system where they can just pull the air out. It goes out through a PVC piping, and it's mitigated out of the home. It's not very expensive. On an average home in Mayfield Heights, it would probably be somewhere between $1,000 to $1,200, something like that. And it would be gone. It would be out into once it gets out into the atmosphere, it dissipates very quickly. So it's just a matter of getting it out of the house. So that's why we don't do any of the mitigation work, because we kind of feel like it's a conflict of interest. All we do is tell you, yes, you have radon issues, or no, you do not. And at that point, you find a mitigation company that goes from there and takes care of the problem for you.
But where is it coming from? Is it coming from the earth
Yes.
into the house?
Yep, absolutely. So it's just normal decay.
It's just,
So
and so,
it's normal decay from the earth that's just getting trapped in your home.
oh,
Yep. Yep. And it's always been here. It's just, like I said, in the last, in the homes that were built in 1920, there was all kinds of air that could be moving and in and out, so it had plenty of breathability. Now our homes are becoming more and more like a plastic bag, so it kind of traps everything in one spot. So it's harder for it to get those gases out of the home. So that's what the mitigation does, is it goes in and just basically vents everything out of the house, making your house safer.
okay.
Thank you.
So we provided some information for you. If anybody has any other questions or anything like that, please let us know. Awesome.
Any other questions? Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard this evening? No other paperwork, okay. We will now close the public portion. Resolution number 2025-01, Mr. Schmidlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 2025-01, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprises for the purchase of 42 body cameras and support services and 12 dash-mounted cruiser cameras and supported services for use by the Mayfield Heights Police Department, ratifying and approving all steps taken to date by the mayor and the chief of police to support said contract and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano and second by Mrs. Sabetta. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Ms. Tobin.
Yes.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Balestria
Second.
Again?
and second by Mr. Medic. The last council meeting, Chief Mealy explained the need for the new body cameras and the 12 dash-mount cruiser cameras. These were budgeted for 2025. Council was polled in December and in favor of the chief's request. This purchase needed to be ordered before the year's end to avoid a 10% increase in pricing. The pricing for this equipment was provided in your packet and awarded to Axon Enterprise. This is a 5-year contract. Does any member of council have any further questions this evening for the chief? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Ms. Tobin.
Yes.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes. Resolution 2025-01 has been approved. Moving to the next resolution, 2025-02, Mr. Schmidlin.
Resolution 2025-02, a resolution amending the various petty cash and change funds and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta,
Second.
second by Mr. Medic. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Ms. Tobin. Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta
Second.
and second by Mr. Balestria. All members of council should have received the detailed resolution in which our finance director has established a petty cash funds for various departments, and their amounts are listed within the resolution. Unfortunately, Mrs. Scully isn't here this evening, but does any member of council have any questions? Mr. Balistreo.
Just with one, and Mr. Ward's here, maybe he can answer, or the mayor can answer. But there's there's two sections in the resolution which grants petty cash to special events. I just wanted to know what the differentiation was. There was one that says the Recreation Department gets $1,000 under special events, and then there's one under Recreation, I believe that it says seasonal, but then it says special events, which is a different amount. One was 1,000 and one was 1,500. We know that what the
Well, you have, I'm sorry.
the differentiation is?
Are you talking in the list itself?
Yeah, on
Yeah,
the
Recreation
resolution.
Director's Office, $400, and then underneath that, within the Recreation Department, you're speaking of the special events, $1,000?
Yeah, one says $1,000. It's still listed as Recreation Department, and then Recreation Department in the last whereas lists special events again at Recreation Department as 1,500, but it just
I
says
think-
seasonal. I don't know if that's just with the ACC or,
Well, when we have our special events, there's always a need, especially during Unity Days, for change. You know, you have to have cash around for change, for giving change for certain events and things like that. So
just why do we have two line items for it then, when we just have one for special events?
So you're
Because it said seasonal for the first one,
right.
and then under the other part is for like the whole year, I would think.
Miscellaneous
Miscellaneous
services
drink-
to be
seasonal
established,
events.
right. It's, I think Mrs., well, I can't speak for her, but I believe she wanted it distinguished between the two. Hey, this is what you're using for
Summer events, maybe?
summer events, Unity Days and things like that. And the other one is other special events like Taste of Italy and things along those lines. Or even sometimes there's petty cash that's needed for any of the events that Parks and Rec put on. You know, go running out and grabbing, more pancake mix or sausages or, for the kids' events. Yeah, there's always.
I'm not questioning what the
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it's
I
used
mean,
for,
but
it's just
I
that
think
we-
she wanted those distinguished between the,
Seasonal.
just a
Mr.
seasonal.
Ward, do you have clarification for this?
Mr. King has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the first one, it states that it's petty cash. So petty cash is for spending purposes, miscellaneous expenses that the city may have. The second one specifically says change funds. That is what the mayor was describing during Unity Days, where we have events where people are purchasing things from the city. We need a fund for change. So that's the difference between the two. The first set should be petty cash, which is for spending. The second set should only be used for change purposes. So no one should be spending those funds,
Just for making change, is that what
just for
you're saying?
making change. So the change in verbiage is what I'm looking at. The first set specifically says petty cash. The second set specifically says change funds.
Okay.
So it's in the first line of the second set.
For purpose of accommodating cash payments
Mm-hmm.
by the public for permits, fines, copy purchases, and other miscellaneous services.
It does say for purchases, though.
Right. That's the distinguish between the
but,
two.
But it's resident purchases. So this is not the city making purchases. This is people coming to the city, paying
It
fines,
says by the public.
purchasing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gained by the public.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any further questions? Okay, Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Ms. Tobin. Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, this resolution has been adopted. We will now move to ordinances, beginning with ordinance number 2025-01. Mr. Schmidlin.
Ordinance number 2025-01, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Henderson, Schmidlin, and McGarry Company, LPA, to provide legal services from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved?
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta and second by Ms. Talbin. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Ms. Tobin.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Balestria and second by Mr. Minor. This ordinance will provide legal services for our city, for Mr. Schmidlin will be employed as our law director from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Are there any questions or comments from council?
Mr. Schmidlin
Mr.
provide
Balestria.
his cell phone number to council? I know we called Mr. Murphy directly on a number of occasions.
I will, of course, give you my cell phone, but my phone is now set up where my office phone will ring to my cell phone. So I will, of course, give you my cell phone if you need.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta.
Yes.
Mr. Mano.
Yes.
Mr. Balestria.
Yes.
Ms. Tobin.
Yes.
Mr. Minor.
Yes.
Mr. Medic.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, this ordinance has been approved. We'll move to motions, which we have none this evening. And is there any new business or comments from council? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Minor and second by Ms. Talbin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we are now adjourned.